Fox Sports.
We are Black Hawks. We are Southwest.
For a decade, Elvis Andrus has provided the spark that ignited the Rangers' most successful period in their history. We've seen him grow, from a rookie who announced his big league arrival with flair,
Andrus sends one in the right center field,
to the veteran leader who makes the big play when it's needed most.
Base hit, and that'll do it. And the Rangers have walked it off on the Royals.
He is the consummate professional, but not afraid to have a little fun, too. Elvis Andrus is the heartbeat of the Rangers.
Rangers baseball presented by Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right. And how about this glorious day today? AT&T Park, the scene this afternoon for the final game of this three-game series, Rangers and Giants. There's our birthday boy, Elvis Andrus. Welcome in, everybody. Great to be with you here on the final day of Players Weekend, and it's a chance for the Rangers to win this series. I'm Dave Raymond with Tom Grieve, and if they're going to do it, they're hoping for a little more offense early in the game. And usually when Giovanni Gallardo is pitching, they get offense.
They do get offense. It's helped Giovanni be 7-2 this year. The Rangers are 9-2 when he starts. The Rangers have scored 96 runs for Giovanni. That averages out to almost 9 runs a game. Coming off a very nice start against the Angels, 6 innings, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. They'll have a definite advantage today because he can hit. He's hit 12 home runs in his career. Doesn't sound like much, but his average is over 200, which is very good for a pitcher. He'll be opposed by former Ranger Derek Holland. Derek's having a nice comeback season, 3.75 ERA in 134 innings. But last year with the White Sox, the Rangers had pretty good success against him. In 2 starts, he totaled 8 innings. The Rangers had 12 earned runs against him in those 8 innings. He'll be trying to improve upon that. The Rangers will try to continue their offense against him today.
Okay, well, one of those guys looking to beat up on his old teammate, the birthday boy, Elvis Andrus. And when we come back, Leslie McCaslin will have him in the spotlight.
Welcome back to a beautiful day here at AT&T Park in San Francisco as the Rangers get ready for their final game today against the Giants. Well, it is a big day for Elvis Andrus as he celebrates his 30th birthday, one that he admitted is special because of the number, but he also said he always likes playing on this day because he plays well. That's why he's in our Shiner Light Blonde spotlight today. Elvis was just 20 years old when he became the Rangers' starting shortstop. During their last 10 years, not only have we seen him make some incredible plays, but also have a lot of fun doing it. Elvis told me he really never thinks of things like the Hall of Fame, but one thing he really does want to accomplish before the end of his career is getting 3,000 hits like his friend Adrian Beltre. Of course, he's already at 1,500, and Beltre thinks he can certainly get there. Told me Elvis plays every day and has become a better hitter, and guys, that he has a legitimate chance. Elvis plans to play for several more years, Dave and Tom.
Oh yeah, he's got a long way to go, and definitely a shot to get there. As Adrian points out, a guy who plays every day. That's how you do it. You just got to show up and keep producing. All right, well, we have shown up, and we're ready for the final game of this series. Time for our Southwest Airlines starting lineup for the Rangers, 58 and 73. And Rugi will lead things off today. Odor batting first at second. Then it's Andrus and Adrian Beltre in the heart of the order. Nomar Mazara in right field. Profar at first, Gallo in left field. And then it's Kiner Falefa, Carlos Tocci in center, and Giovanni Gallardo rounding it out.
Our Shiner pitch arsenal for Derek Holland, former Rangers starting pitcher. He throws a sinking fastball 56% of the time. Slider 22% of the time, then a curveball, then a changeup. Maybe a little bit different repertoire than 6 or 7 years ago when he probably threw some four-seam fastballs and maybe more curveballs than sliders. The Giant defense is brought to us today by Jack in the Box. Hunter Pence gets the start in left field. Stephen Duggar is in center. Andrew McCutchen is in right field. In the infield, Evan Longoria, Brandon Belt on the corners, Brandon Crawford and Joe Panic up the middle, and behind the plate, Nick Hundley.
All right, well, we are underway. Ball one to Rougned Odor. 66 degrees, just keeps getting warmer day by day here. 66 degrees at first pitch. Now Derek Holland, the former Ranger. And his 1-0, Odor punts it foul to even the count at a ball and a strike. Rugi batting leadoff for the second time this year. It's a spot he has filled on a number of other occasions. This is the 44th time that he has batted leadoff in his career. No Shin-Soo Choo today. Choo getting the day off, so Odor, who's been swinging a good bat, taking over that leadoff spot. 3 for 4 yesterday with a home run. And one of the things that makes him a good candidate for that spot as well is the on-base average right around 350. In a hole now, 1-2. Odor gotten a piece of his foot with that foul ball. Yeah, so he'll take a moment and get himself right. And on Players Weekend, you see Odor's jersey, just saw it there a moment ago, goes by El Tipo, the guy. Because at times, certainly growing up, he was the guy. And he still is as he rolls this one near second base. The shortstop Crawford takes care of Odor, one away.
Well, Derek doesn't throw a lot of changeups, but he had success with that last changeup. Looked like a fastball to Rougned. He was just a little bit out in front of it and ended up pulling that soft ground ball to the shortstop.
I need to correct myself, by the way. That wasn't Crawford at all. It was Evan Longoria, who had switched to the opposite side of second base from his third base position. So technically, that's a 5-3 putout. Now Andrus, and he takes a strike from his old teammate. Elvis 0 for 3 yesterday with a walk. And it's 1-1. One pitch. And a swing and a miss. Holland, now 31 years old. And you see, last name is his nickname. And that goes back to a game earlier this year, a national game that was broadcast. He was starting for the Giants. And, you know, it happens. Sometimes a placeholder's left in there instead of the guy's actual name. And they didn't put Holland in the graphic. And so when it came up on screen, it said Derek last name. And it got a lot of attention. And, you know, he likes to have a little bit of fun. So he thought he'd have some fun with that and use that as his nickname during Players Weekend as he strikes out Andrews 2 away.
Well, Derek last year didn't have a very good season with the White Sox. He was 7-14 with an ERA over 6. So he did a lot of work in the offseason. He had conditioning coaches. He worked with a lot of different people. One of the people he worked with was a young pitching coach in Fort Worth named Ryan Sullins. Ryan is a disciple of Tom House, and they worked all winter long. Derek was very pleased coming into spring training that he had ironed out some mechanical problems, that he was throwing the ball better than he did last year, a little bit better velocity, better slider, and the results have definitely shown that. His ERA is 3.75 for the season, and coming into the game he'd struck out 137 batters in 134 innings, so more than a strikeout per inning, which is a nice improvement. So he's having a very nice comeback season for the Giants, throwing the ball much like he did 6 or 7 years ago for the Rangers.
Gets that one in there for a strike to Beltre. 3-1. Adrian up there with 2 outs, nobody on.
In 2011, Derek was 16-5 for the Rangers. 2013, he threw over 200 innings and had an ERA of 3.42. So some of those good Ranger years, Derek was one of the key guys in the rotation. Had some injuries after that. Never really regained that form until right now.
Inside, and he loses Beltre, so a walk here with 2 out. The Rangers have a base runner, and our Kubota power stats for Derek Holland. How about the shutouts? 8 shutouts in his time with the Rangers, and it's the most by a Rangers left-hander all time. So to your point, I mean, he really was one of the real main cogs there for a stretch.
Well, he had the one injury where he fell down the stairs playing with his dog, I think it was.
Yeah,
so he had some fluky injuries, but they really held him back. In 2014 and 15, he only threw a total of 95 innings. And last year, got to pitch on a fairly regular basis, but not very successful for the White Sox. And was forced to come to spring training as a non-roster player. Did that with the Giants, made the team, and now he's had a nice comeback.
Well, he didn't even sign that minor league deal with the Giants until February, and you know, he was getting a little nervous. I talked to him the other day when we got to town. He said, "Yeah, I was just wanting to pitch someplace." You know, by the time he got to February, as you point out, he made the team. He's made the most starts and thrown the most innings on this Giants rotation. And we'll pop up left side of the infield, and that one will be handled by Crawford. The inning is done. So the Rangers leave a man. And now Yovani Gallardo, see if he can match the efforts of Holland. Here in San Francisco, no score as we go to the bottom of the first inning. Let's take a look at the Giants. Now 3 games under 500, 64 and 67. Andrew McCutchen will lead it off in right field. Joe Panik back in there today at second. And Evan Longoria playing third base, bats third. In the middle of the order, Belt, Brandon Crawford, and then Hunter Pence gets a start in left. Nick Hundley catches, Steven Duggar in center field. And the former Ranger, Derek Holland, rounding things out on the mound and batting ninth. All that against Giovanni Gallardo. Giovanni with the Rangers this year, this is 12th start. A 7-2 record and a 5.10 ERA in a Rangers uniform. McCutchen hit a leadoff home run here Friday night. Takes a strike, 1-1. Yesterday was 1 for 4 with a double and a run scored. He had a real nice night here on Friday. 2-1. Yeah, the Rangers shifting for the right-handed hitter, and we see this on occasion, pretty rare occasion though for a right-handed hitter, and especially I would say for the Rangers. Inside, 3-1. Rangers are not one of the most aggressive teams in terms of defensive shifts, so for them to do this for Andrew McCutchen, there's some pretty strong data to suggest if he puts it on the ground, it's going to the left side. Lines this one toward center field. Tochi on the run, goes into a dive and pulled that in. What a catch! Wow!
When he came down, his hand got bent underneath him. I'm sure he felt that a little bit. Looks like he's okay. Yeah, off the bat, that didn't look like there was going to be much of a chance for Carlos. Ball's actually slicing away from him slightly. You see his hand twist like that. It's pretty remarkable that he was able to keep the ball in his glove. Watch the glove and how it bends and twists when he hits the ground.
It almost came off his hand.
Yeah, it almost did. But the ball stayed in it. Very, very nice play.
Well, wonderful way to start the game for Giovanni Gallardo. And he took a moment to point out to his center fielder and thank him for his help. That was a nice play, but yeah, we'll continue to watch that wrist now. That didn't feel good.
And it's not surprising to see Carlos make a play out there. He's highly regarded defensively in center field.
And he's been, you know, really smooth, fun to watch out there when he has had the opportunity. But we haven't had a chance to see him make too many great plays like that one, where he's really been allowed to, you know, air it out a little bit, show off the speed and the range. That was fun. Ground ball in the infield. Good backhand stop by Odor, and Panik retired. There are 2 away.
Take a look at the Shiner pitch arsenal for Giovanni. He'll throw 2 kinds of fastballs, a 4-seamer and a sinker, 54% of the time. And then he'll throw a slider, curveball, and a changeup. Like a lot of pitchers, those are pretty much the traditional pitches: fastball, slider, curveball, and a changeup. And Giovanni's best starts this year, his slider's been a key pitch for him. Obviously, fastball command's important for him, just like it is for every other pitcher. But when he combines that with his good slider, that's usually the kind of games he has when he's throwing well.
Jumps ahead of Longoria with a strike. Now misses to even the count. Longoria, they're batting third today for the Giants, and you can see his overall numbers for the year. The last couple of weeks have been tough on him. A 173 batting average in his last 13 games. Sends this one, though, out to the gap in right center field. That one is down and rolling, and Longoria going to have a chance for 3. He'll turn. The throw on the way from Odor. Not in time. And Longoria with his 3rd triple of the season.
If you hit the ball between the right fielder and the center fielder, and it rolls out there near the 421 sign, more often than not, it's going to be a triple. And with 2 outs, he's not going to try for a triple unless he knows he can get to third base. And once that ball rolls like that up against the wall, it's going to be a triple. It's not going to kick back to the outfielder. You have to go all the way to the wall to get it. And then that makes for a long cutoff throw for the second baseman to get the ball to third base.
I'm going to call it Triples Alley out there in right center field. And for obvious reason, as Brandon Belt takes a strike. It's an interesting, sometimes challenging outfield to defend. Is count now 0-2 on Belt. Yeah, those archways, you can get some pretty random caroms when the ball goes into those areas. Of course, you have various chain link areas as well as padded, so the ball will react differently off all those surfaces. This one sneaks away. Chirinos with a quick flip to the plate. Kind of clever, rather, but not in time. And so that one allows Longoria to score, and the Giants get the first run once again today. They have scored 4 runs in the first inning in the first 2 games of this series, and now on the board again here in the first. And that one,
I think that one fooled Isaiah a little bit. He tried to backhand it. I think he thought he was going to be able to catch it easily. Normally, if there's any reason to believe you're going to have a hard time catching it, you would go down on both knees, get your glove down and block it, especially with a man at third base.
scored a pass ball. And now Belt delivers a base hit into right field. So the inning continues.
Rangers defense is delivered to you by the Texas Department of Transportation. Joey Gallo back in the lineup in left field. We've seen Carlos Tocci make a nice play in center field. Nomar is in right field. Adrian Beltre gets the start today. He's back in the lineup at third base. Elvis and Rugi up the middle. Jurickson Profar moves over from third base to first base. And behind the plate, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Crawford offering the first pitch and sends this one to the left side out of play. Crawford with 12 home runs for the season. DJ BC Raw he is the leader of the music selection in the clubhouse. There you go. He's the DJ. That one off the plate. 1-1. Yesterday, Crawford was 1 for 4 with that 3-run homer. He'd kind of been in a little bit of a power drought. A home run was just the second in the last 46 games for Crawford. Span of about well over 150 at bats. And again, a guy not unlike Evan Longoria, who has struggled lately. And he takes outside 3-1. Crawford just 4 hits in his last 35 at bats, even including the game he had yesterday. That's a 114 batting average. So you have a couple of Giants who offensively have taken a turn for the worse. But they feel really good about the offense they've been able to produce the last 2 days in this series. It's just very unusual for them to score as they have the last 2 days. 4 runs in the first inning. Yeah, there you look at the series so far. Rangers have been a little more patient in getting their runs. Giants real aggressive these last couple of days. Runner goes, and that one fouled away. He will reset. We talked about this a little bit on Friday. This is a Giants team that went into the offseason with higher expectations than what they have actually been able to accomplish this year. 8 games back of Arizona. 3-2 pitch, bouncer first base, and that one grabbed cleanly down there by Profar. He'll go to the bag and in the inning. So the Giants will have to settle for just 1 run in the first inning this afternoon. We go to inning number 2. And when we head home after this ball game tonight, we'll start a 2-game series Tuesday night. Tuesday and Wednesday, Dodgers in town. Interleague play. Great seats still available. Go to TexasRangers.com. Get those tickets and come out and see us Tuesday night. Holland gets that first pitch right in there for strike 1 here in the second inning. It's Jurickson Profar, Joey Gallo, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Lefty finds the outside corner that time. It's 0-2. Players weekend and guys getting to express themselves in all sorts of different ways, and one of them is with their bats. That bat is modeled in the flag of Curacao. Home country for Jurickson Profar, has a couple of stars in the blue portion of the Curacao flag wood. 1-2 the count. I was talking to a bunch of guys this morning, and they've all really enjoyed this players weekend and the treat of these bats as well as everything else, but they seem to be enamored mostly with the bats.
Now, can they keep the bats after the players weekend? Can they keep using them?
They don't know about that. Fly ball to center. Profar retired. They're not sure. I was asking
I would think if they like
about
them that much, just keep on using them.
Well, and I think they would. Right now, most of them said that they have called and asked to see if they can get a couple more from the bat manufacturers, because everybody wants an autographed version of their teammate's bat, right?
Sure.
So Profar wants an autographed version of Elvis's bat, etc. And so they're really kind of excited about it. Of course, they want their own bat to keep and maybe display. And Gallo takes a strike. Chirinos told me this morning, he said, well, when this thing's done, this is going home, it's going in my house, and it's going to look awesome. And they use their player's name, like Pico de Gallo for Joey on his bat. 1-1, at least for those guys that got special bats for the weekend. One pitch, and that one off the handle, rolled down to first, and Gallo is the second out of the inning.
Well, Derek definitely throwing the ball well. Not a large increase in velocity from what we remember toward, he threw 94 to 96 when he first got to the big leagues. Dropped down more in the 92-mile-an-hour range after that. And that seems to be about where he is right now. But he's had good command with it early in the game, and his slider has been a notch better than I remember it.
Kiner Falefa now takes high. So I guess that work he did in the offseason paid off.
Definitely. And he knew that he had to do something differently. Otherwise, you know, his career was winding down. You don't get many chances after you go 7-14 when you're 30 years old with a 6.2 ERA. So he knew he wasn't going to get a big league contract, but he knew he had to be ready for whatever opportunity he had to make the best out of it. So kudos to him for being able to do that. Never been a question of work ethic. He's always had a good work ethic. You know, people think at times he can be a little flaky, but that's just the way he is. But as far as preparing himself and working, he's always been that way.
Well, he strikes out Kiner Falefa looking, and it's a 1-2-3 second inning for Derek Holland. 1.5 in so far. Giants lead at 1-0. It's our next Texas Chili Company Dollar Hot Dog Night, and tickets are available at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. Interleague Baseball, Dollar Hot Dogs, can't beat it. Well, bottom of the second. And Hunter Pence. He takes a pretty healthy rip and comes up empty against Gallardo there, 0-1. Used to have a pretty good history going back to their days together in the National League. Pence has always played in the National League. Native of Fort Worth. With the Astros. Came up with the Astros and then eventually with the Giants. But 8 for 34 against Gallardo, who was primarily with the Brewers when they faced off back in the day.
He's always been in incredible shape. You could tell by looking at him. One of the first guys to wear his pants up like football players do, almost above his knees. But he used to work out at a gym in Arlington, and I was talking to a couple of the trainers in there one time years back, and they said, man, nobody puts a workout in like this guy does.
No, and I can tell you, in those years when he was with Houston, coming up as a rookie, you know, high energy, just extremely high energy guy, and he was always doing something. Like you're talking about working, he would try the craziest oddball things to get better, right? He was reading books all the time, doing these weird drills, and guys just to kind of laugh at him a little bit.
Well,
but
here he is after 15 years in the big leagues.
Last laugh is with Hunter. He had this thing he strung up to his locker, these 2 strings, and he would lean way back and put a little ball or something up at the top, and it would slide down, and I don't know what he was doing. It was something with his vision he had read in a book, and he, you know, always coming up with something.
Yeah, I like guys that'll try something different to get better.
stays alive here, 3-2.
Well, we mentioned this the first day, but everybody mentioned, you know, when he signed his contract, he went to UTA. But he was kind of an unorthodox looking player. He has a funky throwing motion, not a traditional looking batting style. But it works for him. And the reason it works for him and has worked so well is because of the kind of athlete he is. I think a normal guy with the same swing and the same way of throwing might not have the same success, but he makes it work. He forces it to work because of the kind of athlete he's been.
Well, he strikes out here to start this second. And it brings up Nick Hundley. Hundley had the start yesterday behind the plate. And we said then that it's likely going to be his job going down the stretch. There was a roster move today by the Giants. Buster Posey officially placed on the 10-day disabled list. He is headed off to Vail, Colorado for surgery tomorrow on his hip. And they also recalled Aramis Garcia, a catcher from AAA Sacramento, who will be looking for his big league debut. And so that's how they figure out the catcher spot. So it'll be Hundley and Garcia going forward for the Giants. And that's a big loss for them. They're not going to win the division this year. They're comfortable with that reality. Not going to get in via the wild card. They get it. And so it was time. And so they'll get Posey, hopefully get him back by April next year is the idea. Hundley, meanwhile, won for his last 15, and he strikes out swinging here, 2 away. I'll give us a moment now for a word from our friends at Southwest Kia.
At Southwest Kia, we've made car buying easy. $250 down delivers, monthly payments $250 a month or less. SouthwestKia.com.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Gallardo, and now he will face the 8th place hitter, Steven Duggar. Duggar yesterday, another multi-hit game. He's had 2 hits in each of the first 2 games of this series, so he's been pretty good. Speedy, athletic center fielder. One right in there, 1-1. So Gallardo bouncing back a little bit. Got the first 2 outs quickly in the first inning before Longoria tripled, scored on a pass ball, and then Brandon Belt had a base hit. Broken bat roller, first base, Profar. Go to the bag himself, and the inning is done. So a good second for Gallardo. We'll head to the third, 1-0.
AWS is going to give us some numbers on this nice play by Carlos Tocci. He covered 74 feet, and the catch probability was a little over 50%. It looked like it might have been a little tougher play than kind of a 50-50 proposition, but I think center fielders are expected to be able to make those kind of plays. They have usually the best speed of the outfielders. They get good jumps from the center field view of home plate. And so on that kind of a play, as spectacular as it looked, I think a big league center fielder is expected to make that about half the time, and Carlos did. Very nice play.
Well, it was a good lift in that first inning, I think, for Gallardo. Now we'll see if he can help out on the offensive side. Takes a strike, 1-1. Gallardo in the on-deck circle, he's a guy who can help his own cause with his bat. Fly ball out to center field. Duggar is a much easier play for him. One away. All right, time for a Chevy game break. Let's check in with Rick Renner. All right, thanks, Rick. So Oakland trying to keep pace. You're a game and a half back of Houston coming into play today as Gallardo takes a strike. Mentioned Gallardo can hit. It's his first chance at the plate this year, but there are his career numbers. 12 home runs in his career. He also has over 20 doubles. Hits this ball hard on the ground to the right side. Panic backing up for it. Throws him out, 2 away. All right, back to the top of the order for Rugi. He is our TXU Energy power player to watch. You just have to trust me on that one. Odor, 0 for 1, grounded out on the first. Proof. Last 6 at-bats in this series. How about that? 4 hits, 2 home runs.
It's pretty much been the Ranger offense right there.
Been. Yeah, that's the good news for him, bad news for the Rangers.
Rangers had the great comeback 2 days ago and almost had another one yesterday when Rugi hit that 3-run homer to make it 5-3. Gave the Rangers a chance, and they actually had the men on base in the 9th inning. Carlos Perez pinch hitting with a couple of men on. They'd actually moved from first and second to second and third, and he got a good pitch to hit and had a good swing, just got underneath it. He was right on that pitch, just popped it up. Otherwise, who knows what might have happened.
Yeah, the last 2 games have been really fun. Rangers have made them very interesting at the end. Swing and a miss, and Odor in a hole 0-2. It was uncanny, some of the similarities in yesterday's game with what we saw on Friday. The error leading to the Odor home run both days late. The 4-run first inning by the Giants in both games, and then the bullpen a little shaky. And there was a moment in yesterday's game where I was just fully convinced it was going to play out exactly like it had the night before.
Sure looked like it.
Inside, it's 2-2 on Odor.
You can tell Derek's plan against the lefties is to pound the fastball in, try to jam them. That's what he did to Mazzara, and then get them to maybe chase the slider away. But pretty successful with his location with his fastball to the left-hand hitters. On the season, left-hand hitters are only hitting 181 against him. That's a pretty good combination, lefty to lefty, if you can run your fastball in on the fist and throw that slider away. Doesn't work too bad from a righty to a righty either.
2-2. And another foul straight back. So Friday night, this was in the 9th inning. 1 pitch after the error kept the inning going, and that one tied the game. A splash hit for Odor, and then yesterday, this one in the 7th inning, again following an error, and an impressive blast to make it a 2-run game. It's been a great series for Odor, and he's now worked the count full. There's something about a left-hander hitting a home run in this ballpark too that is particularly fun. Heading out there to McCovey Cove. 3-2. That's pulled foul. So that splash hit he had in Friday's game, that was the second one by a Rangers hitter. You got to go back a few years. 2012, Mitch Moreland did it. But there have only been 4 splash hits by American League opponents in this ballpark's history. So the Rangers have 2 of them.
Wow. Well, the one he hit on Friday, if one of the kayakers got in the way of that one, that might have caused some damage. Good at bat right there by Ruge. Worked the walk.
Another way in which he has been so good this year. It's a career high, ongoing career high for Odor, his 36th walk of the year.
You know, sometimes a guy gets a walk after a long at bat, and sometimes we'll automatically say, hey, nice at bat. Saw 7 or 8 pitches and worked a walk. And then you go back and look at the pitches, and 4 of them were right down the middle of the plate, and the guy had 4 great pitches to hit and fouled them all off. Well, you know, the walk is nice, but is that a great at bat if you 4 times missed a pitch right down the middle?
Well, this ball hit down the left field line. That could be trouble. It gets down and it gets past Pence. Odor got a good start. He's around third. He'll score without a throw. And so Andrus, with a 2-out double, ties this game at 1. There's a birthday RBI for Elvis Andrus.
Yeah, Elvis has been a little bit cool. 1 for 24 coming into this at bat. He got a hanging off speed pitch from Holland and deposited that line drive down the left field line just to finish up on Ruge. But in that at bat, he didn't get any good pitches to hit. The 3 or 4 fastballs that he fouled off were all right on the inside corner, pounding his fists, and he fought them all off. And so in that particular case, it was a good at bat because he fouled off some really good pitches and then ended up working a walk.
On that walk then turns into a run on the Elvis double. So Beltre now has a man in scoring position. Beltre walked in the first inning. Inside, 1-1. Talking to Holland on Friday when we got here to open the series, and you know, he looked across the diamond and saw the faces coming out of the dugout, and he marveled, you know, thinking back to 2010 when these 2 teams met in the World Series, and was trying to figure out, geez, how many guys from that World Series team in 2010 are still with the ball club, right? That he would have shared those memories with. And there aren't that many. Even Beltre came the next year in 2011.
Right. That's right.
They spent a lot of years together as teammates, but not a part of that 2010 World Series team. He looks back at one of the guys, though, Elvis Andrus out there at second. 3-1. And that's been part of the fun of this series, too. The various crossovers, guys who had been with one team are now with the other. I think of Matt Moore and Corey Guerin on the Rangers side. Beltre shanks this one foul, and it's a full count. Adrian in today with a .277 average, 7 homers, 45 RBIs. A bit of a surprise that he was in the lineup today and playing third base. We were told several days ago that was not real likely that he would play in this series. Bouncer in the hole, it's short. Diving stop, Crawford. He'll throw across to first, and Beltre, not quite at full strength with the leg, could not beat that out. But that is also a great play by Crawford. Well, Rangers get on the scoreboard. Elvis Andrus with a birthday RBI, and we're tied at 1. Looking ahead a little bit, Saturday, September 1st, Twins will be in town. Rangers and Twins in the second game of that series. First 15,000 fans will get a Rangers captain bobblehead, courtesy of Toyota. And you can get your tickets at TexasRangers.com. All right, Derek Holland leading it off for the Giants. A switch hitter. And rolls this one weakly to shortstop. Andrews throws him out. One away. Those two, the only two remaining from the 2010 World Series team.
I don't know if you remember that Derek was a switch hitter.
Yeah, that caught me by surprise today.
All it means he's equally inept from the left side and the right side. He's 3 for 44. It doesn't really make much difference. The other thing I thought was pretty amazing in the National League, with as many plate appearances as he's had, he only has one sacrifice bunt.
That is very surprising,
Yeah.
right? Speaking of bunts, McCutchen shows and takes a strike. But the fact that Holland and Andrews both in this game but against one another, the only two remaining from that 2010 World Series club, kind of surprising. And so we were, as I mentioned last inning, we were talking about that on Friday. And then the conversation turned to, well, how many guys from that team are even in baseball, right? Still playing. And that is a really short list. Mitch Moreland, Moreland with the Red Sox these days. Ian Kinsler when he's healthy. And Nelson Cruz. I think that's about all we could come up with. 3-1 now to McCutchen. Anyway, it wasn't a real scientific thing. I mean, we were just kind of chewing the fat, but 3-1 pitch, and that misses ball 4. So McCutchen is aboard with some pretty good speed. Well, let's check in with Leslie McCaslin.
Well, guys, I remember that series. I was covering it out of a station in Austin, and so Elvis and I were just kind of rehashing it the other day. And you're right, he looked around the clubhouse and said, there's not really anybody. I mean, I remember it. He remembered the details, Madison Bumgarner in particular pitching in that game 4, and he said, yeah, I was like the only guy he walked that night. So there are definitely details like that that are still fresh in his mind, and he remembers about just coming here, but he is one of very few. Remember, there were 16 guys who never even played a game here, so it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, Leslie told that story Friday night. All the guys who had never even played a game in this ballpark on this team this year, which gives you an idea of just how much turnover there is. It is funny how things evolve and how quickly sometimes they evolve. Gallardo's 1-strike pitch, and Panik fouls it back for strike 2. Panik did not play yesterday, and he was kind of a central figure in the Rangers' comeback on Friday night. He is the one who, at second base, booted the ball that opened the door for Odor to hit the homer. And so the next day, Panik was not in the lineup, and Darno got the start at second base instead. This one is outside, 1-2. It's been kind of a year of frustration for Joe Panik. 2 years ago, a Gold Glover. Maybe a slight step back last year, and then this year, and they average at 250, only 4 home runs. And he takes strike 3 called. Third strikeout of the game for Gallardo, and there are 2 away.
That looked like a fastball. It was a fastball, and it was right in the center of the plate, right at the bottom of the strike zone. Oh, good fastball. Yo's had a good fastball today, 92, 93 miles an hour. Our colleagues in the truck have come up with another player from that team.
Okay.
Tommy Hunter pitched on that team. He's still active. Who's he with, the Phillies?
That's a good question.
I think he's with the Phillies. Tommy Big Game Hunter, we used to call him. I'll never forget the game he started against Tampa Bay. Day game in Arlington. It's 100 degrees outside. He was just a kid, big, strong kid. His face was as red as a lobster. He pitched 9 innings in that game. Won the game.
Longoria rolls out to shortstop, and that will end the inning. Giants leave a man. We played 3, tied at 1.
Mexico 1, Texas 1, and now it's time for Cricket Smile. Let's take a look at this attempt to break up a double play by Andrew McCutchen. That's got a little Adrian Beltre in it right there. Now the inning's over. There's no double play, but McCutchen's just having a little bit of fun. Hadn't even made Elvis smile. You're trying to steal one away from Adrian Beltre right there.
That is awesome. Line drive out to left field. That one pulled in by Hunter Pence. So Mazzara out to start the 4th inning.
I wish more players would do stuff like that. It's harmless.
Yeah.
It's a little silly. Probably 90% of the people in the stadium didn't even see it. But it just adds those funny little touches to the game. Shows that the guys, while they're playing as hard as they can and doing everything to win and be successful, they're also out there playing like little kids too. Some of them.
Some of them, yeah. I believe, Tom, now I'm no scientist, but I really believe that it would help certain individuals in particular. I think
Lighten up a little bit.
It would help their game.
Yeah. Yep. I don't see how it could hurt.
0-2 the count on Profar. Now,
those guys are so focused, it takes away from their focus and their seriousness in a way that causes them not to concentrate or bear down as much.
Right, if you get a little too distracted, I could see where that would be a problem. But
every now and then, it seems pretty harmless.
Fly ball out to right field. And that one hangs up a moment for McCutchen. 2 away. All right, so Gallo coming to the plate now in our WinStar World Casino and Resort leaderboard. How about this? When you look at the Rangers' left-handed hitters against left-handed pitching, I mean, more home runs by lefties off lefties than any other team, and by a wide margin. 27 this year by the Rangers. The Braves, Nationals, and Rockies each have 15 home runs by left-handed batters off left-handed pitchers. Gallo pops this one out of play for a strike. Now, the Rangers do have a pretty loaded lineup with left-handed hitters, and it seems like all of them, a big part of their game is slugging the home run. Guys like Odor and that guy, Mazzara, certainly Gallo. In some ways, it's it's imperative that this team does hit a lot of home run against left-handed pitching because they're going to see a lot of it. Gallo with 34 round trippers this year. And he takes high. It's 1-2. Big shift on the infield. Not a surprise for Joey. And that'll even the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And there's a lot of room on the left side of the infield, but that's a look he has seen a lot this year. Ooh, that one caught a corner. Strike 3 called, and it's the 3rd strikeout this afternoon for Derek Holland. Inning over, we go to the bottom of the 4th, still tied at 1.
Rangers baseball is sponsored by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Ford is the best in Texas. By Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right. And by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency.
AT&T Park. A little view from the outfield. Brandon Belt leading things off here for the Giants. Rolls one out into right field, and right there for it was Odor, one away. So Gallardo's done a nice job so far. Has not a lot of hits since that first inning. A 2-out triple in the first, and then a single later on. You see his pitches by inning.
Oh, Giovanni threw the ball well in his last start. He pitched against the Angels. 6 innings, 6 hits, only gave up a couple of runs, but only 1 walk and 6 strikeouts through 90 pitches that day. He's allowed two runs or less in 4 out of his last 6 starts. He's had good success against the Giants in his career as well. It's a perfect day to pitch. Nice, cool, sunny day. And so far, 3 1/3 innings into the game, he's throwing the ball real well.
One and one to Crawford. Grounded out in the first inning. Fly ball out to left field. And that one holds up for Gallo, 2 away. Well, looking ahead, Tuesday night, Rangers and Dodgers open a game of that quick 2-game series. First 15,000 fans are going to get a Robinson Chirinos removable mask bobblehead, courtesy of StubHub. Tickets are available at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. And those will be interesting games against the Dodgers team right now. 2.5 out in the division. And there's a Soft line drive to left field by Pence. He is on with a 2-out single. So the Giants not really in this race so much anymore. Dodgers still consider themselves very much in the race. You look at the West Division. The D-backs and Rockies right now tied for first. Dodgers right there. But then you look at the wild card. Well, everybody gets a wild card this year. So it would appear. It could get pretty messy this year.
I love it when it's that way. It gets sorted out usually, but there's going to be a year where it's so complicated it takes a genius to figure it out.
You could have a lot of different tiebreaker scenarios and play-ins to get to the one-game playoff.
I remember one year, it was probably a little far-fetched, but we were talking about a game at the end of the season. We were saying they're just going to have to bring 3 teams into one city and have a round robin.
I love that idea. I love that. That would be so much fun. Jim Cott was suggesting that earlier this year. Jim Cott, the great, should be a Hall of Fame pitcher. Early in the season, right, we're having so many snowouts and stuff. He's like, all right, it's time. Let's just find a dome stadium somewhere, bring everybody in. It's just like a baseball, extravaganza. A jamboree, I think, was the word that he had used.
Yeah, and it's probably not that bad an idea. Get the games in.
If you've ever been to the NCAA tournament, college basketball, and gone to one of the regional sites or something where they have a handful of games on a Thursday and then several more on a Saturday, it's a blast.
Yeah.
And a baseball version of that would be a hoot, man.
I don't know how the economics of it would work out. Probably not favorably for most of the teams, and that's going to probably keep it from happening. But I'll guarantee the players would like it. Yeah. That would be a blast.
1-2 to Nick Hundley. Well, I think the fans that were able to be there and in attendance would love it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be a logistical nightmare. Quick turn and throw over there to first. Pence able to dive back in there. Pence does have 3 stolen bases this year. And one of the better Players Weekend nicknames. Underpants.
The question is, when did he get that? Like, was he a elementary school guy when he got it?
I mean, he's probably
had
to deal
started
with
calling him that
for sure. Outside, 2-2. I remember when he came up to the big leagues, my kids just happened to be at that age, right, where certain words sounded differently to children, and they thought it was underpants. They thought it was really funny. 2-2 pitch. And Hundley would not chase that breaking ball. It's a full count. Now Hundley struck out in the second inning. He's 0 for 1. Giants got their run in the first. Rangers got their run in the third. Runner goes, and there is ball 4, so Hundley takes the walk. It's the second walk allowed today by Gallardo. All right, now the 8th place hitter, Stephen Duggar. On visit is Brocail out there. Interesting. It's a little bit like the first inning when Gallardo got 2 outs quickly, but then the triple, the pass ball, and the single netted the first run. Here we got 2 quick outs, but Pence with a single. He's at second. Hundley in the near screen at first after the walk. And that one is outside to Duggar. Now, could that mound visit have been in the vein of, well, look, Duggar had 2 hits yesterday, 2 hits the day before. It's not a huge threat, but let's not, you know, overthink it with the pitcher Derek Holland waiting on deck.
I would think it could have that could have entered into the conversation for sure. Even though there's not an open base and you don't really want to load the bases, rather than give a competent hitter a good pitch to hit with 2 men on base, pitch him carefully, get him out on a really good pitch. Derek Holland's 3 for 45. His chances of getting a hit are not that great. So yeah, I think that might have had something to do with it.
Low, 2-1. So you pitch to the guy, but you don't give him anything great. You just nibble around the corners. Maybe you get a couple of calls, maybe not. No big deal.
I wouldn't like to be an 8th place hitter in the
would
National.
or would not?
I would not.
No, it'd
in
be
the
awful.
National League. You never know if they're going to pitch to you. Chances are a lot of times they're not, but they're going to pitch it close enough to where you have to be careful that you don't take a good pitch for strike 3. So you just kind of feel awkward sometimes in that situation.
Yeah, I think it's the toughest place to hit in baseball. Eighth spot in the National League. You just can't really, you know, unless you.
There are sometimes, I guess, if nobody's on and a couple of outs, they want to pitch to you, try to get you out, so the pitcher leads off the next inning, I guess.
Yeah.
But still, the key is be a good enough hitter to where they don't put you 8th. Then you don't have to worry about it. I wouldn't want to be an 8th place hitter because I wouldn't want to be that kind of a hitter. But if it meant being in the big leagues, I'd take it.
Duggar ties into one here. That one could be a lot of trouble. It's down into the wall, and Duggar does have very good speed. Pence and Hundley are in. Duggar heading to third. The throw will be way behind him. A 2-run triple by Duggar, his first of the year. And it puts the Giants in front 3-1.
Well, that's kind of what we were talking about there. And from a pitcher's standpoint, you can have that as your plan. I'm going to pitch him carefully. I'm not going to give him anything good to hit. But if the ball tails back to the middle of the plate, might not be what you were trying to do. You didn't execute your pitch. And that allows Duggar to get a good pitch to hit and drive in 2 runs with that triple. The plan only works if you execute the plan.
Yeah, that is the big part of it. Holland eventually does ground out to second base. The inning is done, but the Giants pick up 2, and they take a 3-1 lead to the 5th inning.
Well, there is another game that a couple of the players will be paying attention to today, and that is the Little League World Series Championship. Hawaii taking on South Korea, and of course that's Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Shin-Soo Choo. Isaiah told me earlier, you know, this is such a big deal because check this out, only 4 players currently in Major League Baseball that are from Hawaii or from South Korea, and he said for these kids to see the opportunity that baseball offers and how far it can take you is so big that they know now they can benefit from this experience. It's huge for their future. Now, guys, I also asked them if the two of them had a friendly wager. Isaiah said, I can't afford Choo's bets. There'll just be a lot of trash talk. Dave?
Seems wise. See, he's not just a young, good ball player. He's a little wise beyond his years.
He knows there's more zeros in Choo's contract.
Yep. And he has, you know, that has been one of the interesting things about seeing his personality this year is that wisdom that he exudes at such a young age. But that's pretty clever, pretty smart. And he'll start things off here in the 5th inning. Suddenly the Rangers down by 2. 7, 8, and 9 hitters coming to the plate here against Derek Holland, and he misses high with ball 1.
Well, right about now, Isaiah may be wishing he put a little money on this. Hawaii's ahead, 3-0.
1-0 pitch. And that breaking ball has been working pretty well so far today for Holland. 3 strikeouts, a couple of walks, but he's allowed just 1 hit. I mentioned earlier the left-hander, former Ranger, originally drafted by Texas in the 25th round back in 2006. Played his first 8 big league seasons with the Rangers, and he gets Kiner-Falefa to hit one right to second base. Panic throws him out. 1 away. Time now for a word from our friends at Kia.
When you're America's Best Value, you don't need fancy uniforms. How'd you know it was clip-on?
1 away, and now Holland to work against Carlos Tocci. It's the 3rd time the Rangers have seen Holland since leaving the Rangers. Last year, as you mentioned earlier, Tom, with the White Sox, did not go well for Derek. And he's turned things around, a lot of hard work in the offseason. And he's, you know, look, next year is up in the air for Derek, although he made it pretty clear he'd like to come back to San Francisco.
Well, they'll have some guys coming back from the disabled list, but sure looks like he's pitched well enough to get the opportunity to come back. Last 10 games, 7 starts, 3 relief appearances, 2.34 ERA, 2.25 opponent's batting average. So he's throwing the ball better now than he was earlier in the year.
And right on cue, then he walks Tocci on 4 pitches.
His control hasn't been great. He's walked coming into the game 49 in 134 innings. He's walked 3 so far in this game, so he's up to 52 walks, which is not alarming, but more than I think you'd like to see.
So a runner on for Giovanni Gallardo. And Gallardo indicating that he's going to try and sacrifice Tocci into scoring position. Could have been goofing around, though. We'll see a very good hitting pitcher. I mean, he was a Silver Slugger when he was with Milwaukee. And takes inside. A lot of extra base power, 12 career home runs, 21 doubles. But his last homer came in 2013. He's done some pitching in the American League, which is eliminated a lot of the at-bats that he used to get as a National League pitcher. Squaring again, bunts this one out in front of the plate. Belt will pick it up and throws him out. So the sacrifice, a good one, moves Tocci out to second base.
He's not only a good hitter, looks like he's a good bunter too.
Yeah, had well, that's his 37th career sacrifice. So Yeah, does a lot of things well up at the plate. Well, here's a guy who's been driving in the runs. Odor 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. Enjoying a career month this August. It's not over yet. And fouls this one back behind the plate. So his 2 home runs this series have driven in 5 of the Rangers' 6 runs scored. As prior to today's game, but in August, he's closing in on 30 RBIs just for the month. So a huge month for him. Pop up though on the right side of the infield, and that's not going to get it done. Belt right there for it. Rangers leave another man in scoring position. We're halfway there this afternoon, 3-1 San Francisco. Now Texas Football Days presented by Jack in the Box. It's a gridiron celebration. We go beyond the teams and the games. It's about the people and personalities under the helmets and those that cheer them on. It's about camaraderie, community, tradition. As you know, football in Texas is unique.
He had a great influence on the community, and you know, the fact that we're still talking about Coach Wood tells you the impact that he had in high school football.
Since they took us out of the playoffs last year, beating them is more important than anything to me and the team.
Short of the goal line, the game is over. Highland Park has won the state championship.
When people told me I couldn't play, I wanted to prove them wrong.
I never really expected to be back here. We had just won state championship in the fall of 2004, and so in the spring of 2005, and I found out I had MS.
I grew up in Coppell, Texas. All I ever wanted to do was play high school football, and then it started elevating to college and then eventually pros, and so it just kept on going along with the ride.
Well, football teaches you how to be a man, how to do what you say you're going to do no matter how hard it is.
I think any aspect of life that you want to check, you can check from playing the game.
Texas is nationally known for high school football. It's Friday Night Lights.
It is very impressive, and we're proud of it. We know it gets harder every year, but we make it fun. If we're not having fun, we're doing the wrong thing.
That'll get you pumped up. Tune in Friday or log on to foxsportssouthwest.com for more. That's cool.
Yeah, and I certainly can't pretend to be an expert on Texas football. I grew up in Massachusetts, so what do I know about it? But I just know that from reading, from watching, my kids all went to high school in Arlington, so I've been to a lot of high school games. It's almost impossible to describe it to people that have never seen it. Our big game in Massachusetts might have drawn 2,500 people, and it was important to the city, and it was fun. But to go back home and then try to describe what it's like here, you almost feel like you're exaggerating when you talk about the Allen High School band that has 800 plus people on the field at one time. They just don't believe it. And you see what it means to the tiny towns that close down and everybody in town comes out to the game, the Friday Night Lights aspect of it, all the way up to the 6A games for a state championship that's got 50 or 60,000 people at it. It's just remarkable. Whether you're involved in it with kids that play or you just like to go out and watch it, it's really something you have to see for yourself to have any idea what it's really like.
Spectacle sometimes sounds like it carries negative connotations, but I mean it kind of is a spectacle.
Yeah,
it is. It is amazing. 3-2 to McCutcheon, and he takes ball 4. Well, lead man aboard for the Giants. Time for a Chevy game break. Another guy who knows a little bit about Texas football. Here's Rick Renner. Yeah, that's awesome. Wait till the late innings and just explode like they did. But a wild one there, and here it's a 3-1 ball game. These two teams, well, the Giants in particular, Giants play a lot of close games, and partly because they pitch well and they don't score much. They played 71 games this year that have been decided by 1 or 2 runs. Most of any major league team. Coachy, I don't know how he deals with it.
I was reading what he said in the paper. He said, that's just who we are. Doesn't matter how big our lead is or what the score is, it's going to be a close game at the end. That's just kind of who we are. But they pitch well, they hit poorly, and it results in a lot of close games.
Well, they won their World Series in 2010. That was the beginning of a remarkable run. 3 World Series championships in 5 years. And they played a lot of games like that. That came down to the last second and whatever. I mean, it was just a thrill every night. But the Giants broadcast crew, they used to refer to it as torture. And that ended up taking on quite a persona here, or a little ground ball shortstop, could be 2. And Odor with a good turn. And that's a 6-4-3 double play, and the bases are now empty. Anyway, that became a big deal here. Torture. And marked that 2010 season. Nothing came easily, but they did win a lot. Well, you know, this Giants team too, I mean, a lot of history going back to New York, and you look at the all-time wins by franchise. Obviously, it's not just San Francisco, it's their days back in New York. 11,079 wins. And they've had a lot of close ones in there. A history-rich franchise here in San Francisco. 1 strike pitch now to Longoria, and that one is outside, 1-1. They took the lead last inning. It was a 2-out, 2-run triple by Steven Duggar. This ball hit well out to center field, but there's a lot of room out there, and Tochi has plenty to get underneath it, so the inning is done. Well, let's go to the 6th inning. Giants still lead the Rangers by 2. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right. Well, if you squint really hard, you can see us off there in the distance from the other side of that skyline. Yep, here we are, 3-1. Top of the 6th inning, AT&T Park. Derek Holland looking good today, and he Spins that one past Andrews for a strike. Elvis 1 for 2. You were telling that story earlier, Tom, about Holland in the offseason and the work he did with Ryan Sullins.
Ryan Sullins was one of the guys he worked with, yeah. Tom House has little satellite areas around the country, and Ryan works out of Fort Worth, where he gives pitching lessons to college, professional, kids. And Tom comes and visits all these places around the country several times a year. So it's all based on the principles that Tom has developed over the years.
He's got a nice long track record of having figured a few things out.
He definitely does. One of the most interesting people. If I got stuck on a plane for 5 hours, he'd be the guy. He'd be one of the 5 people I picked to sit next to. So interesting.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting about that is you take a lot of long flights and you don't get to choose the person who sits next to you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What do you mean, unfortunately? How dare
you mean our trip? I thought you meant random trips.
Oh man.
No, you'd be in my top 5 too.
Oh, that hurt.
I thought you were just talking about a random flight.
No, Tom House.
Where you sit down and then you start holding your breath, wondering who's going to sit next to you. No, I did not mean that. I couldn't pick a better person to sit next to than you.
Holland, though, I mean, it's cool. I like to see guys do this. And so when you mentioned that earlier, because I didn't know that he had done that this offseason. It reminded me of the story I read earlier this year about Adam Ottavino, the Rockies.
Yeah.
Did you see this thing on Fangraphs?
That's one where he went to the camp up north and added miles per hour.
He bought $30,000 worth of equipment, got a little storefront in Manhattan, and basically created his own lab.
Wow.
And he went in there every single day, and he would take the baseball and he would work a new grip, and he would record all the data, the spin rates, the arm slot, all this stuff. After a terrible year last year, he was at wit's end, wasn't sure.
Without a coach. He was his own coach. He experimented himself.
Took all that equipment that they basically use at Driveline and all the great places where these guys are doing such fine work as Andrews strikes out. But he created his own laboratory, did all these experiments, trying to figure out what could really work for him. And now this year, he's been untouchable.
That's great. That's a great story.
It's really cool. But I think it also speaks to how the science is really helping pitchers, but I'm not so sure hitters are getting the same advantages.
Yeah, I don't know. I know this. There's a lot of people that are developing the science, but it all started with Tom House. Tom House was doing this 35 years ago. And whatever people are coming up with, that's getting the publicity, he's already done it.
Beltre 0 for 1. He walked in the first inning. And they play him straight away on the infield. When Adrian today went into the clubhouse, and we had already learned that he was going to be in the lineup today. And as I walked around the corner going toward Banny's office, here comes Chu. And he stops, looks at the lineup card, starts laughing. He goes around the corner the opposite direction, looks to Beltre's locker, just stares at him and starts laughing. He says, "You're playing third? I could play third base. You're playing third base today?"
Chu said that?
Busting his chops. Old fella's working through some hamstring issues, but so Chu apparently thinking he's compromised.
I'll guarantee you Shin-Soo would never have said something like that before he got into baseball. He's too nice a person. But he's been in baseball long enough, and he's probably taken that from all his teammates to where now he's resorted to dishing it out himself.
Of course, and he's got a day off today, so a lot easier to talk trash. Fly ball out there to right field. And McCutcheon tucks it away. 2 gone. Well, let's check in again with Leslie.
Well, guys, we talked to Adrian before the game just to check in, see how he's feeling, because you guys mentioned earlier it was not planned for him to play on defense this entire series or even this whole trip. And he basically said, well, I told him I was good. I went through everything that I needed to out here to show that I could do it, and I wanted to play. And he was asked because of boredom or because you're actually ready. He said both.
Yeah. Well, I saw him out early yesterday taking ground balls. I thought, well, that's interesting. Maybe You know, maybe he's thinking he can find his way in the order. You can't.
No, it's one thing when he can DH and stay part of the game, but when he has to come to a National League park and just feel healthy and sit there and watch, it probably was more than he could take.
Zara foul tips one, and it's 1-1. Well, you figure we had the off day on Thursday, and then didn't play Friday and Saturday. And for a guy like Beltre, I mean, that's just not going to sit well. It's like a caged tiger. Now Mazara has popped up to short today. He's also lined out to left. And that one a little tight. And that got a piece of him.
I think that hit two people.
Yeah, I think it got a piece of him, and then it struck Hundley. Just enough of a deflection, right?
Right. The catcher goes to catch the ball, and it deflects off the hitter and misses his glove, and then he's kind of defenseless.
Boy. That'll take a minute or two. He's going to be okay. Whew. Steve Buechele over there at first base talking with Mazara. The other day, walking around the press area upstairs here and ran into Ed Montague, the longtime Major League umpire. Ed is now a supervisor of other Major League umpires. And so, anyway, said hi to Ed, and he asked about Boo. I said, oh, he's great. He's doing great. He said, did he ever tell you the story what he did to me at spring training? I said, no. So I was working the plate, and there was a play at third base. I went down there to cover it. Somebody was running in there. Ron Darling, I think, was the base runner, he said. So he was sliding into third. Montague would come out from behind the plate, race down to third base to get on top of the play and call it. But Boo caught the ball and then wanted to make a second play. And so he was going to throw across or down to the plate or whatever. Montague was about 5-6 feet away from him, and he drilled him right in the side of the head. And Montague went out cold, had to go to the hospital. And, you know, obviously a really scary experience. And he said, Boo came and visited me in the hospital that night.
Wow.
And spent a lot of time with me that night just to make sure I was okay. He felt terrible. Sees him a couple years later. And Boo, you know, first thing he does, he goes up, finds Ed Montague. Hey, you all right? And he says, oh, no, I'm fine. You know, see, I'm good. He's like, you know, did have a bout with vertigo recently. And he said, I thought Steve was going to be sick. And he's like, he's so compassionate, felt so bad about it. So I asked Boo about it today, and well, he sat down. And when I asked him, he said, I said, yeah, Eddie's a wonderful man, but felt bad about that. So they reviewed whether or not that one hit Mazara, or
I think it might have been whether it hit the bat.
Yeah, but it's ruled that it did hit Nomar and not the bat.
Kind of hard to tell.
It's really hard to tell. And the call on the field was that it hit Nomar, and Bochy obviously was not happy with that and wanted to challenge it, and did not get a satisfactory answer.
Yeah, there's nothing the umpires here can do about that. They put it up for review, and the review said the call stands. That's one when you review the ball, that, you know, whether it hits the batter, whether it hits the bat or the hand, whether it's a foul tip, those kind of calls, they're so hard to see. No matter how much you slow it down, it's just very difficult to tell.
Well, Profar, first pitch swinging, pops this one up. Might be playable, and it is. Belt tucks it away, and just like that, one pitch later, the inning is done. We go to the bottom of the sixth. Giants still lead by 2.
Let's check out the afternoon for Giovanni Gallardo. Made a lot of good pitches today. He's going to end up pitching 5 innings as Alex Claudio is on in relief. He'll end up giving up 3 runs. Derek Holland's been a little bit better. He's gone 6 innings in this game. He's only given up the 1 run. He walked Odor. Elvis doubled him in with 2 outs in the 3rd inning. And for the most part, Derek has thrown the ball well. He's walked 3, struck out 4. Had a good slider, mixed him up well, and he's through 6 innings, only given up 1 run. That's our Southwest player breakdown.
Well, it's a 2-run game here, and Alex Claudio has checked in. 53rd appearance for the Rangers left-hander. We got Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, back-to-back lefties. Hunter Pence then would be due next. Little bouncer down to first base. Belt retired, 1 away. And so here comes Crawford, 0 for 2 today. Well, some viewers chiming in with some other names that Derek and I didn't come up with the other day, talking about guys on the 2010 World Series team that would still be playing somewhere. Darren O'Day, one of them. Alexi Ogando. And Alexi Ogando, he's in the minor leagues right now, but still active. So those are a couple other ones. And I can say with great confidence, I don't think I would have randomly observed those on my own. I don't think I would have gotten there. Sometimes you need a little help.
I'm not good at going back and remembering things like that. I never would have been able to do it, and I sat here and watched the whole season.
No balls and 2 strikes on Crawford. And Claudio yanks that one a little bit. That was a good outing today for Gallardo. I thought he threw the ball pretty well. You know, maybe the big mistake was the ball that Duggar hit with the pitcher waiting on deck. This is a fly ball to center field. Tochu right there, 2 away. I don't say mistake, but costliest pitch anyway. Well, after this one today, ball club heading home, and they will take tomorrow off. And then it's the beginning of an 8-game homestand. Dodgers, Twins, and Angels. And that leads into one of the bigger road trips left on the schedule. Only 2 road trips left on the schedule, but we'll be right back here in the Bay Area next time we hit the road. Our progressive upcoming schedule. Hunter Pence takes a strike. He's 1 for 2. This ball hit on the ground, 3rd base, backhand pick by Beltran.
Wow.
Throw to first in time.
You think he's okay?
Oh, could you do that? That is something else.
Well, he lobbied to get in the game, said he was okay to play 3rd, and by the looks of this play, I'd say he's about 100%. What a throw.
By Shiner Light Blonde, it's light, done right. Tom's old glove out there in left field, and Shin-Soo Choo talking trash today about Adrian Beltre, and Beltre turning in a sparkler to end that last inning. Well, Joey Gallo will lead things off in this 7th inning. Rangers hoping to come up with a little more of that late inning magic. They've been able to conjure some the first 2 games of this series, but Derek Holland has been really tough. And he drops that one right in there for a strike. Off the plate, 1-1 the count. Holland, this will be his 90th pitch of the afternoon, so he's had that well in check. Mentioned earlier, he's made more starts, thrown more innings than anyone on this Giants staff, and he was a non-roster invitee to spring training. They did not know that Johnny Cueto would be limited to 9 starts, that Jeff Samardzija would only make 10 starts, and Madison Bumgarner would get hurt again this year. But boy, have they been thankful for the work that Holland has been able to provide them. Little flare out to right field, drops in, base hit for Gallo.
Yeah, that's one of those balls that Joey kind of got lucky with. Not that I would call Joey a lucky hitter, with the shift takes so many hits away from him. But if he hit that ball a little harder, it might have gone all the way to the outfielder. But he got jammed on it, and he's strong enough to hit it far enough to get over the infielder's head, who's playing way back there. But it didn't go hard enough for the outfielder, McCutchen, to get to it. He just kind of dropped it right in front of him. There's a lot of hitters who, if they hit that same ball in the same part of the bat, would have hit it about far enough for the second baseman to catch. But that's just an example of where strength comes into play, not on a home run, but on a little bloop single. Had to be strong enough to hit it that far based on where the ball hit the bat.
Well, gets the potential tying run to the plate now. Off the plate to Kiner Falefa, who was struck out looking and grounded out. Well, this one into right field. That ball well struck for a base hit, and Gallo slams on the brakes near second base. So the first 2 men on in this 7th inning.
Yeah, Isaiah is very good at hitting behind the runner like that. And he's not playing every day, and he's just a young rookie player. But you could see him as the years go by, and he gets better and better, becoming the kind of hitter that could hit second in the lineup potentially and be very good at hitting behind the runner like that. You know, depending on development and what happens down the road, because right now he's pretty good at doing that as a young player.
And that creates some concern for the Giants now. Our Southwest Airlines bullpen live look, Tony Watson out there loosening up, so could be that we're seeing the end of the afternoon for Derek Holland. Well, this is where the Rangers have been doing it the last couple of games. 2 men on, nobody out. Tochi up there, and he'll bunt it high in the air, and that one spins foul. Boy, see a bunt hang up that long in the air, it just
usually
makes your heart stop.
Usually it's not good. They had a lot of spin on it, so that when the ball hit the ground, it spun in foul territory.
Shows bunt again. This time takes the ball. 1-1. Tochi is flying out to center field, and he is walked.
So the average right at the Mendoza line now this year for Tochi. Corners are in tight. Middle of the infield at double play depth for the Giants. Again with a bunt. This one to the third base side. Holland almost dropped it, but he throws out Tochi. The sacrifice is good. Rangers get the tying runs into scoring position. 1-4 on the sacrifice.
Derek didn't panic when he bobbled the ball. I'm sure he felt like he had to rush it, but he didn't rush it. He just put a little extra on the throw. Fired a 92-mile-an-hour strike to the second baseman covering first base to get that out. It could have been disastrous for him.
Well, now Bochy out to the mound. So that is going to do it for Derek Holland. Our who's in, who's out pitching change. Sponsored by In-N-Out Burger. Holland is out. What a great effort by the left-hander this afternoon. And Tony Watson coming on for the Giants. That trolley's not going anywhere. It's staying put. All right, well, here we go. 2 men in scoring position. And Robinson Chirinos pinch hitting here for the Rangers. And Tony Watson, known as Tone Ranger, he's making his 60th appearance. Chirinos taps that one foul. It's 1-1. So Chirinos batting for Alex Claudio. And Robbie, we talked about this, I want to say it was yesterday, but 8 RBIs now in his last 8 games. He's been a real RBI machine. His most recent RBI was Friday when he walked with the bases loaded in the 10th inning, providing what would be the game-winning run. At 7-6, come from behind win for the Rangers. Their largest come from behind win of the year. Now a base hit to the outfield. Should score 2 and tie this game. He swings and misses. It's strike 2. Watson's 1-2 pitch just off the plate. 7th inning, so hard to say how many more real good opportunities the Rangers are going to get. Gallo at third base. Started the inning with a really good single to right field. Just fought one off.
Well, one thing we know about the Giants, right now they do not have a lights-out bullpen.
No, they don't. Watson does get a strikeout of Chirinos, 2 away.
Oh, check out Ruby, what he's done the first 2 games of this series. Friday, down the line, tie ball game. 2-run homer, tied it up at 6 in the 9th inning. Yesterday, 8th inning. Rangers down 5-0. That moonshot made it 5-3. Well, that was the 9th inning, the 8th inning, and here we are in the 7th inning. The other interesting thing about Tony Watson, left-hand hitters are 4 for 4 in their last 4 at-bats against him.
All right, just got the right-hander, Chirinos, and then in a recent appearance against the New York Mets Tuesday, he allowed the go-ahead 3-run homer to Michael Conforto, and that was the first home run he allowed to a left-handed batter all year. So showing a little vulnerability to left-handed hitters lately. And facing one right now who certainly does not fear left-handed pitchers and who has been really clutch lately for the Rangers. 3 of his last 4 home runs, or rather all 3 of his last 3 home runs, and 4 of his last 5 have come in the 7th inning or later. But Odor showing bunt. That one off the plate for a ball. So all the RBIs this month, 28 of them for Odor, far and away the most in a month in his career. And most in all of Major League Baseball, and even that is not really a close race. A chance to drive in a couple of big ones right here. 0 for 2 with a walk. One of the things Watson has done well this year for the Giants is stranding inherited runners. He's only allowed 4 inherited runners to score this year. Off used by Bochy. And Odor does drag the bunt first base side. Watson will throw him out at first to win the inning. So Rangers leave 2 big ones out there. Time now for God Bless America as we turn it over to the PA announcer here, Rennell.
Military troops here at home and all around the world, and please join along in the singing of God Bless America. Here now, your AT&T Park organist, Steve Hogan. And now it's time for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Dignity Health. Once again, Steve Hogan.
7th inning. And you know, next season will be the final season at Globe Life Park. Full and half season tickets are now on sale, and season ticket holders will secure a place in line for season tickets to Globe Life Field, which will open in 2020. Check it all out, TexasRangers.com/seasons. And Chris Martin, the Arlington native, making his 37th appearance of the year for the Rangers. He comes on here in a 2-run game in the 7th. Well, that was quite a moment to in the top of the 7th with 2 men in scoring position and Odor up at the plate. You see him bunt out for the final out of the inning. And
yeah,
first pitch here, Hundley grounds out, 1 away.
I know what he was thinking. He's thinking there's men on second and third. If I can get this bunt down and beat it out, I'll get a run in. And then Elvis is coming up with a couple of men on base. And I think that's probably the way he was looking at it. I can't imagine he was looking at it that I feel a little bit overmatched by the left-hander, therefore I'm going to try to bunt. I think he was thinking along the lines that I just mentioned. The other way of looking at it is he's been the hottest hitter, and with 2 men on and both of them in scoring position, another train of thought might be I'd like to see him swing the bat and maybe hit another home run or a double in the gap or a single to drive in 2 runs and not settle for just 1. So there's a couple of ways of looking at it. I think I know what he was thinking. Jeff Bannister may have been looking at it a different way, and unfortunately it didn't work out the way Ruby anticipated it might.
Does it put the base runner at third in a challenging spot? 2 outs, first base is empty. You know, because you're not squeezing him.
No,
I mean,
no, it's a little bit of a challenge, but you know, at the same time, if it's a really good bunt that he can beat out at first base, then you're probably going to be able to get home in time.
Yeah.
And if it's a bad bunt with 2 outs, they're going to get him at first base anyway. With 2 outs, there's less of a risk involved there, but I know what you mean. If the guy at third doesn't know that you're bunting, it's harder to get a good jump. But I think with 2 outs, you probably don't need to worry about it quite as much.
Well, Martin got a first pitch ground out, and now goes 2-2 on Duggar. Claudio, by the way, threw a 1-2-3 6th inning. Nice job in relief of Gallardo. And that one, strike 3 called. So he strikes out Duggar looking. 2 away.
No doubt about that strike. That wasn't on the corner. That was in the zone.
All right, now Gorkis Hernandez is announced as the pinch hitter. Tony Watson did his job, got the 1 out they needed. Lifted now for Hernandez. Two outs and nobody on base, and that one is fouled away. Tried to hold that swing up. You see the numbers for Hernandez this year. It's been a real good year for him offensively. He comes up empty here, 0-2. Martin has come out throwing strikes. And that's off the plate. So the Rangers will have 2 at-bats remaining, down by 2. But this next half inning might be the real big one for them. Jeff Bannister will have his 2, 3, and 4 hitters coming. 1-2. And that one is tapped foul. Final game here in San Francisco, one of the rare interleague visits to the Giants. Rotate the divisions you see in interleague play each year. This year it's the National League West. And it doesn't mean you visit every team in that division. Sometimes they visit you. This one a little bit high, 2-2. But we'll see this division again in 3 years, and who knows, Giants may be coming to Arlington when we cycle back around. It may be 6 full years before we come back here again. Two. And in and out of the glove. Hernandez stays alive. Well, Martin trying to make it a 1-2-3 7th inning. Big right-hander though, in a pretty good battle at the moment. And time call, and a ball got loose down that left field line out of that Giants bullpen. As we pointed out Friday night when they built this beautiful ballpark and opened it 19 years ago, right before the opening, the pitchers went out looking for the bullpen and realized, well, there isn't one. That's just one of my favorite stories ever. 2-2. Well, flare out to right field, and Mazzara, well, read just enough to get to it to end the inning. All right, 8th inning. Rangers down by 2. Elvis Andrus will lead it off when we come back.
Rangers trail the Giants 3-1. It's time for Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Elvis Andrus in the 3rd inning, double down the left field line. That would score Ruby with the Rangers' only run. And then defensively in the 5th inning, Joe Panik with a ground ball to shortstop. Elvis and Ruby turn it. That helped get the Rangers out of potential big inning. And they trail 3-1 now as we head to the 8th inning. And Elvis is the leadoff hitter.
Yeah, and he'll see a new pitcher here, Reyes Maranta. We have seen him now in every game in this series. First pitch, that one right on the inside corner for a strike. Well, the Rangers, at this moment anyway, need just one base runner. Give themselves a shot at tying the game here in these last couple innings. Andrus takes a strike, 0-2. Tony Watson got the 2 outs they needed last inning. Derek Holland went 6 1/3, allowed a run on 3 hits. Andrus hits this ball hard to center field, but not deep enough. One away. Our Coors Light refreshing finish. How about this play by Adrian Beltre? We weren't even close.
You know, he couldn't have made that play any better 10 years ago. And it's a play that at his age now, you probably wouldn't expect someone to be able to make. But he got himself into the lineup today. He's the one that knows whether he's ready to play or not. And I would say by the way he made that play, he was definitely ready to play defense today. It's one thing to get to that ball, but then to be off balance in foul territory and throw it across your body like that, all the way across the field accurately, that's a pretty nice play.
Now hoping he can chip in offensively. Walked in the first inning. He's grounded out and flied out. And he hits this ball straight up in the air. Short right field. Panic wants it, but it's McCutcheon. Calls everybody off to make the play. 2 gone. All right, time for a Chevy game break. Let's say hi again to Rick Renner. Yeah, that is right up to date. 1 game at the moment. So should the Astros lose, it would be a half game lead going into play tomorrow. Nomar Mazara, and he'll take one outside for a ball. Of course, the news today, the disappointing news for Oakland, Sean Manaea to the disabled list. And in some regards, their best starter. He's certainly been the guy who has carried the mail for the better part of the year for him.
I read in the paper they were talking about how Manaea's velocity had been down a little bit, and they were calling up a starter to try to give every one of their starters an extra day's rest in the hopes that that extra rest might help all the starters. But evidently there's another reason for Manaea's velocity being down a little bit. Wasn't entirely healthy. Yeah, that's a huge blow. It's just hard to imagine that for the next 6 weeks, the other 4 starters and whoever's called up to take his place are going to be able to maintain the level that they've achieved the last couple of months. Pretty remarkable what they've done. We talked about that when we were in Oakland. They had the kind of staff that has pitchers in it that were available to anybody that had an interest in them before the season started. Some of them signed in spring training, late in spring training.
There's a base hit into right field for Mazara. He will scramble for second base. He has a 2-out double. Well, the Rangers get that tying run to the plate in the 8th.
So as far as the Oakland pitchers go, it's just, I think, unrealistic to think that they're going to maintain that same level over the next 6 weeks. Maybe they will, and for Oakland that would be great. But realistically, I'm not seeing it personally.
You know, one of the crazy things about it, we talked about this earlier in the week when we were in Oakland, was that they are the only pitching staff in baseball with as few as 1 pitcher. They have 1 pitcher who's thrown 100 innings this year.
Yeah.
And that was Sean Manaea. Now he's hurt. I mean, you talk about cobbling it all together as we take a look at the Oakland Hills just across the water.
Well, they've got a little bit of a lead. They play good defense. They've got a good hitting lineup, and maybe they'll figure out a way to hang in there. It's not like Seattle's a super team or anything. That's who they've got to beat out right now. But as far as catching Houston goes, that's not looking too good.
No.
Astros are winning today in the 8th inning. And the Astros are starting to get back to health, and with their rotation, they're going to be, might not be realistic to think that anyone's going to catch them.
Profar waiting on the 1-strike pitch. And now he's in a hole 0-2. Well, that's why they play 162 and not 132. You know, you play 132 games. Here we are. This would be the end of the year. And you can see where you have all these really compelling races and teams are as close as they are or whatever. But those last 30 games, boy, they can that's where, you know, depth in your rotation, depth maybe even in your bullpen and stuff really rears its head.
Well, that's one place where Oakland does have a really good advantage, is their bullpen is really good. They can go down to the 6th inning and find a closer for every inning. Fernando Rodney, they just acquired him recently. I think he's pitching the 7th inning. Lou Trevino throws 98 miles an hour. He's probably pitching the 6th inning. And they've got Familia to pitch the 8th inning, guys that they've acquired. Blake Trinan, all-star closer, good as it gets right now. So their bullpen is really good. So they don't have to get a lot out of their starter as far as innings go. They'll still have to get their starters to pitch well, not give up a lot of runs, but they don't need to get a lot of innings out of them, as good as their bullpen is.
Well, here the Rangers have Mazzara at second base, 8th inning, down by 2. And the 0-2 pitch, and Profar foul tips that one. Stays 0-2. Jerkson's 0 for 3 this afternoon. There's not been a great road trip offensively for the Rangers, generally speaking. Well, we've highlighted what Odor has been able to do in this series. Profar's been the one guy maybe kind of consistent on this trip. 6 hits coming in, and he misses that one. It rolls away, but he doesn't run. And so now he'll make the easy lob to first, and the inning is done. That's a bummer. Bottom of the 8th coming now, and the Giants still lead by 2. Here in San Francisco, and an autograph session coming up with Corey Guerin Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. Just go to the Whataburger at North Tinton Tap Road in Capel, and while you're there, you can sign up to be a Whataburger Whata fan. It'll allow you to win tickets to an upcoming Rangers home game, as well as Whataburger for a year. You can get all the details at TexasRangers.com/appearances. And oh wow, are you kidding me? We talk about his big autograph session coming up, and wouldn't you know it, he appears in the game. Here he is.
Yeah, pretty good numbers too. This will be his 55th game. Nice solid ERA. Other numbers are very good to go along with it.
Well, he's got the top of the order to deal with here. McCutchen, who has walked on 2 occasions today, and he takes a strike. McCutchen also flied out back in the 1st inning. Giants runs today. They got a run in the 1st. And they got 2 runs in the 4th inning. Really hasn't been a huge offensive day for them. 3 runs on 4 hits. But thus far, it has been enough. And that's sort of what they count on here. That they can hold the opposition down and score just enough to win. No balls and 2 strikes on McCutcheon. And Guerin gets him to chase strike 3. So a strikeout starts the 8th, 1 away. Now, MLB At Bat is your #1 Rangers app. You can customize your experience to take advantage of great features like the MLB.TV Game of the Day, among many others. Download MLB At Bat today. So 1 gone. Here's Joe Panik. And he's hitless today. Last time up, in fact, grounded into a double play. Guerin's first offering just a little bit off the plate for a ball. Guerin started the year with the Giants. Ended up joining the Rangers on July 9th. Acquired along with 2 other players for a player to be named later or some cash. Well, that ball was really moving. Fouled away, the count 1-1. With the Giants, Guerin was 1-1 with a save out of 420 earned run average, and they used him 35 times. At the time, he was 4th on the club in appearances, and then traded over to the Rangers. Rangers have enjoyed some success with him as well. He's pitched well. That one just a little bit wide, 2-1. In fact, Guerin's numbers even a little better with the Rangers, a 2.75 ERA with Texas. This is 20th appearance in a Rangers uniform. Hard ground ball, shortstop, high hop for Andrews, and he throws out Panik, 2 away. Well, looking ahead, we mentioned tomorrow an off day, and next game will be Tuesday against the Dodgers. Normally, we give you our 4 probables, but what about this guy, the former Dodger, who in 2004 hit 48 home runs, led all of Major League Baseball, 2nd highest home run total in Dodgers history. Adrian Beltre today playing 3rd base. And he's done a nice job once again. And his initial club, the club that signed him at a very young age out of the Dominican, the Dodgers, they will be in town Tuesday and Wednesday night. Just a quick 2-gamer. Now, Evan Longoria, he is 1 for 3.
That pitch, such a tough pitch for a right-handed hitter. It just kind of keeps breaking. You might think as you start your swing you're going to have a shot at it, and then it just keeps on breaking farther and farther outside. That's what he got McCutcheon on when he struck him out to lead this inning off.
Oh, 2 pitch, and it's off the plate. Guerin, he was a popular guy here. I mentioned this Friday night, but when we got to town, there was a crush of Bay Area media who had come by the clubhouse just to see him. They lined up like 3 or 4 deep to interview him one-on-one. Real good guy. 1-2 pitch. And that one fouled away. So all those media members had to line up and take their turn, and as we mentioned at the outset of the inning, you have a chance. Just go to that Whataburger and Capel, and you can meet him as well. Autograph signing at 10:30. 1-2. Guerin, notably, we I don't think anybody shies away from it. He takes a little bit of time between pitches. It's kind of fun watching Adrian just doing whatever he can to keep himself engaged, loose, pass the time. There's a swing and a miss, strike 3, so 2 strikeouts in the inning for Guerin. That's a 1-2-3 for him. That means it's last chance for the Rangers. Coming up, down by 2 as we go to the 9th.
Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. By Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right.
Well, time running short on the Rangers. 3-1 the score as we go to the top of the 9th inning. On our 4th game summary today, we go back to the 4th inning with 2 outs and 2 men on. Steven Duggar, the 8th place hitter, got a pitch to hit, and he drove it out there just to the right of center field for a triple. Those 2 runs gave the Giants the lead, broke the tie. And that's where we are now with those guys waiting, those Seagulls, for this game to end so they can come get some garlic fries. So Tom, are those Seagulls on the water, are they sleeping?
I don't think they don't really sleep during the day. I think they're a little more active during the day. They might be on the water, but I think they're just biding their time to get back into the stadium. I didn't have a chance yesterday to ask the ornithologist how the garlic might affect their, their insides. I'm not sure on that. If I'd known you were going to bring it up, I would have already had that answer for you.
Well, they definitely seem attracted to it.
They don't seem to be the kind of creature that would care too much about what they eat.
Agreed.
They sure don't care whether it's clean or not. They're eating it right off the ground.
Mark Melanson, who I understand does not enjoy the garlic French fries on here in the 9th inning.
He might not enjoy this bomb that Joey's about to hit either.
Ooh. Oh, that was the swing right there. 2-1. So Melanson in this 9th inning. Tony Watson got the final 2 outs of the 7th. Maranta a scoreless 8th inning, and now Melanson. Fouled away. It's 2-2. Gallo last time had a base hit in the 7th inning, and it set up what looked like what might be a really important rally for the Rangers. He ended up at 3rd base with Kiner Falefa at 2nd. The tying runs, but the Rangers just could not get them home. 2-2, and he turns this one to the first base side. High hop for Belt. He'll go to the bag himself, one away.
One thing we've seen on this road trip are good first basemen. Matt Olson for Oakland, one of the better defensive players. Brandon Belt, a terrific first baseman. And of course the Condor, Ronald Guzman for the Rangers, is terrific there too. All three of them are very adept at picking hops from the infielders out of the dirt. Olson, one of the best in Oakland for sure. Brandon Belt, saw a note on him. He's saved 10 runs, defensive runs. Not exactly sure how you compute that, but judging by how he ranks at that, he's good. He's very good at it.
Yeah, it's been a good road trip, a fun road trip in that regard. Here is Chu pinch hitting for Kiner Falefa. Nice job by our graphics crew to get his nickname up there in Korean characters. Inside, 1-1. He was so excited about this. Talked to him this morning about it. And man, it really meant a lot to him that Major League Baseball was able to get his name on the uniform. 2-1. And his bat has a symbol for the Korean flag. I don't know if it's that one or not. Let's see. He showed me this morning. Come on, Chu.
Now, is that his whole name, Shin-Soo Chu, or just Chu?
No, that's his whole name.
His whole name?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
How long do you think it would take you to learn how to write in Korean?
Long time. Long time. And they had to make several attempts at it to get it right. This one out to center field, drops in, base hit. So Chu is on. And the Rangers get the potential tying run to the plate in the 9th inning.
Well, that's what we had yesterday. We're going to have a pinch hitter right here who can hit the ball into McCovey Cove. Yeah, Chu got jammed just a little bit right there, but still muscled it into the outfield for a hit. So when you're down by 2, you want a chance, and the Rangers have a chance right here with Ronald Guzman up. Looks like Drew Robinson's going to be on deck, so both those lefties have the power to get one up in the air and hit one out of here.
One out. Melanson's first pitch, and that one bounced foul. Rangers' run came in the 3rd inning. Odor walked with 2 outs, and Andrews followed with the RBI double. That tied the game at 1. You saw earlier this inning, you saw us review that big triple by Duggar in the 4th. The Giants' 3-1 lead. Guzman takes a little in, 1-1. Ronald 1 for 4 as a pinch hitter this year. He's going to hold the ball in 2 strikes. Well, they announced a crowd today, 39,260 here in San Francisco. Trying to help Melanson here against Guzman. A ball and 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss. That's strike 3. 2 gone. And Drew Robinson announced. Robinson, a pinch hit here. Last hope for the Rangers. His nickname, Petey. And he will not disclose what it means, the derivation, nothing. He refuses.
You know, you would think if you were going to be that way about not wanting to explain it, you wouldn't want to have it in the first place.
2 out. Petey waits. Melanson's first pitch. That one strike. Well, it's been a beautiful, beautiful afternoon for baseball. And we've seen some good pitching. Robinson, whoa, takes another one, strike 2. And that one just caught the outside corner. So everything away right now to Drew. And that'll get him up. Melanson looking for just his 3rd save of the year. He spent a lot of money to bring him in. And largely been injured. And a little bit of disappointment in that move for the Giants, but called upon as the closer today. Two out there at first base. Robinson is the tying run. He does have power. The 0-2. Check swing, did he go? Yes, he did. Andy Fletcher rings him up at third base, and that does it. The Giants win the game 3-1, and they win the series by taking the final 2. And the Rangers head home. Well, Rick Renner, Mark McLemore, and Mike Bassett back in the studio. They'll have all the player breakdown, reaction, and analysis from this one. For Tom Grieve, Leslie McCaslin, and our entire crew, I'm Dave Raymond. Thank you for viewing. Hope you'll stay with us. More coverage of Rangers baseball coming up right after this.